So what does it mean when you say something is in public interest? Um, I'm a bit unclear regarding that. And who decide what's public interest? The people that's governing your country? Because this goes hand in hand with EWC and the new law that's being put in, or act that's being put into place. Public interests, that's a bit broad, that could be a bit broad, and it's not really defined clearly. In my opinion, EWC as a means of control. It's not. It's people tend to look at the less immediate effects, and they imagine people storming your land with guns and taking your farm or your house or whatever. But it's a bit broader than that. Yes, I'm not saying that might not happen. It might. I'm not saying it's going to, but it might. The law's there for a reason. They're not going to put a law into effect without a plan for that specific law being implemented. At some stage they will, and that law doesn't specifically refer to exclusively land or farmland. It could be any property, it could be anything really. It could be the cell phone I'm using to record this on. It could be guns, it could be gun rights, an attempt to get people to give up their guns or to take guns from people. So they are no longer a threat. And after you've done that, obviously they have no means of protecting themselves when you really want to go after something else that they possess, and you deem it in public interest for them not to have whichever possession that you deem necessary. But the thing is also, people don't think of the long-term effects. For example, you want someone to be quiet and not criticize your way of governing. Easy to use EWC as a threat to keep people quiet. You have a house, well, some people do. If you have a house, you have any form of property that you deem valuable, it could be used against you. And if you are a civil rights organization, or even political opposition, that could be used to leverage against you. So it doesn't matter what skin color you are, it doesn't matter where you are from, it doesn't matter about your history. If you are in opposition to a government that implements rules like this, you've got a problem. And it is a major problem long term. It's like being in power, signing a law into place, well, putting a law into place like this could potentially make sure that you are in power for much longer than you should be, because people will be afraid of speaking up. People will not just highlight issues that they see that's a worry to them, which is of a concern. So yeah, that's a big problem that we are faced with in South Africa. I would not say necessarily that there is a genocide against white people in South Africa, but what I will say is that the Afrikaans culture and community is definitely under threat. It's much more dangerous to be a white farmer in South Africa than to be a police officer, and it's even safer to be in certain war zones than being a white Afrikaans farmer, due to songs that praise the killing of white farmers and white people in general. So that's a big problem, and it is, according to me, like a crime against humanity to incite violence in any form against specifically certain groups, any group for that matter. Incitement of violence to kill people of a specific race, no matter which race, is wrong. Yes, there were injustices in the past in this country. There were in many countries, but two wrongs never makes a right. Not justifying anything from apartheid South Africa, but think about the Boer, for example. Should we still, when are we going to stop looking back at the atrocities from the past? Are we going to just magically look at some of them, or are we going to include all of them? Focusing on the past is not going to get us into the future. I personally don't know anyone that stole any land. I don't even own land. Not sure if I should say this, but I'm not even employed, and I could go on rambling about it being tough to find a job because I'm white. that might be a factor, but it might not be the only factor. I might be in the wrong line of work for all I know. Who knows? But the thing is, the fact remains, we cannot get stuck on issues of the past and not move forward. We have to learn from the past, but if we get stuck in the past and demand certain things because we presume that our ancestors were treated badly, and I have no doubt that all of us at some stage were, just like I have no doubt that white, black, Indian, Arabian people, all of us were slaves at some point. Every single one of us have heritage where we were slaves at some point. All of us were conquered at some point. But going back in history and trying to undo it is impossible. Not even God can change the past. Sorry to inform you about that, but not even God can change the past. But He gave us common sense. He gave us brains to learn from the past mistakes, and that's what we should do. Blaming people and trying to redress past issues is problematic. I'm not saying when someone is still living and that guy stole land from you, obviously something needs to be done, but that needs to be proven. Certain cultures are under attack in South Africa, most definitely. And there is more race laws than there were during apartheid, which is ridiculous and it should stop. We're not going to move forward like that. Me personally, I never knew anyone in government. I've never owned land in my life. And like I said, I'm currently unemployed. So I could have a lot of sour grapes currently, but I don't. A lot of it's due to my own fails in part, but there is external factors that does have an influence on me personally and on every other South African in this country. But there is definitely racist laws in South Africa, and more than 100 of them, that's stopping us from moving forward. And I'm not speaking just about white or Afrikaner people. These laws are gonna impact black people, white people, colored people, brown people, all of us. None of us are happy with the current way things are going. But looking at the past, it's not going to get us forward. We need to sort something else out. I don't trust any politician of any party in this country. There is one or two very small parties that can move us forward if enough people listen and open up their eyes. All these coalition parties, from large to small, and governing parties, well, most of them, especially the governing parties and those that form part of the GNU, it's not necessarily going to get us into the future. If we keep on trusting people that sell us out, it goes for all races and religions in this country, we're going to have a problem. It's time to move forward and stop listening to your media, and they are bought and paid for the longest amount of time they have been. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, you can call me whatever you want, but I don't have much to EWC, unfortunately, for whoever wants to take me on. But yeah, it's time that we grew up, moved on, and yeah, don't necessarily trust politicians, don't trust government, and yeah, don't always trust the media. Very important on that one. But yeah, free speech, freedom, let it rain.